This is a show coming off the pilot last week where you claimed, Ricky Flex, that this was one of the best pilots in recent memory. Was it overreaction? All right. Was the excitement level too high following the first episode? Well, judging by the second episode, we are in for an absolute ride. Where we left off, Joel and Tess agree to take Ellie to a Firefly base camp. For Firefly is this rebellion type of group that stands against the Federa, the totalitarian style government in this futuristic, right, dystopian and almost apocalyptic, right, pandemic type of world. So they are trying to take Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey, to a Firefly base camp so they can continue their journey to track down Tommy being Joel's brother. At the end of the first episode, we find out when Joel and Tess are taking Ellie that she is in fact infected, but for some reason the disease is refusing to spread, leaving a lot of questions and potential predictions that we had leading into episode 2. Right. So starting off, just initial reactions, Ricky Flex. Did this live up? Did it carry? Did it kind of carry the momentum from the first episode into episode 2? Did you feel the same success here?
Yeah, I'll never feel the same. Or I would say not say never, but I didn't feel the same as I did in episode 1 because episode 1 was just it was brand new. The expectations were high and they somehow met those expectations, right? This one's hard to match again, right? And you kind of know what's coming, right? But I would say this is a great episode. I thought this was a great episode, a great second episode coming off of episode 1. And like we just talked about with the expectations and what you said with the synopsis, I think this one carried that going forward, introducing us to, what are they calling them?
Clickers.
The clickers. Introducing us to the clickers, and the costume design with the clickers is ridiculous, as in really good, but like really, really good, like ridiculously good. So impressed with that.
I was just gonna say they were scary as hell. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like I was freaking out watching those things.
Yeah, if you wait till the end of the episode, like the post-credit scenes, like with with Craig, however you pronounce his last name, like showrunner and writer, he was saying, "Oh, if you watch the video game, it's perfect. If you didn't watch the video game, you're like, holy crap, I'm scared." Yeah, I was scared, and I haven't played the video game. Crap. I was like, that was literally me. So I hit the nail on the head with that. The ending is also good. Yeah, we were trying to figure out how Tess was going to get like away from them. Was she going to die similar to Joel's daughter in the first episode? Was she going to get infected and turn into one of them? And then would Joel have to kill her or something like that? No, it's going to be she's going to get infected, but also sacrifice herself for Ellie.
Joel and Ellie.
For Ellie, basically saying, Joel, you need to take her. And you can't be a prick about this. You got to take her. And now we're really going to get into this adventure, this journey of how are they going to stop, or how they're going to get Ellie to wherever they're going, while also going on an adventure throughout, trying to battle these clickers and potentially other things like we've talked about in episode 1, potentially like non-clickers who are out there that are holding slaves and crap like that they refer to in episode 1. So I can't wait for the next episode. It continues the I can't wait logic going forward. And HBO, I'll say the last thing is HBO, and they are fantastic at doing flashback sequences. They are the best at doing flashback sequences, and they did one here this time around, and I loved it.
So you really you went through the entire episode, basically broke the whole thing down. So let's just start at the beginning.
I loved it.
And this is initial reaction, so I have no problem with you doing so. I want to get to the clickers. I want to get to Anna Torv's character and Tessa's demise here, because it also is an example of, once again, we spend very little time with a few of these characters, yet their deaths leave such an impact with the audience. Talking about Joel's daughter in the first 20 minutes of the pilot episode, and now Anna Torv's end here. But that intro scene, this is yet another intro scene that really set the tone for the episode. And the flashback 2003 Jakarta, Indonesia, basically takes us to the start of this pandemic. And I had chills watching just the woman going in to inspect the body, cutting it open, seeing like the fungi that's growing on the inside of this man's body, knowing that this is a zombie movie, I am like, a show, excuse me. I'm squirming. I'm flexing so damn hard because I'm just waiting for this moment where this person just starts to rip off, right, this scientist's head. I am waiting for that moment because this is like one of the first cases. They don't know how to exactly react. Uh, it just seeing that moment too, where she drops the scalpel and the I forgot what the things are called.
Fungi,
Yeah, but there was a
cordyceps,
cordyceps,
something like
whatever.
that.
When it's starting to sprout from
Ugh,
the mouth, it is
creeps me out.
disgusting, so disgusting, but yet kind of beautiful. It's like, if this is a weird way to put it, but like the way it's like slowly coming out and then expanding, and it looks like it's almost uh
Flower.
like a flower that's like you kick it in the field, and then like it'll just like the powder will just like poof everywhere. That's what it kind of feels like when you're watching it. But then it's the moment afterwards that really gave me chills. And when they're asking this woman, what do we need to do to stop this from spreading? And she just says, bomb it. And the person's like, bomb what? The city. And then she's like, either like clear the city. He's like, no, like you have to kill everybody inside this city. And like the delivery of that line, so chilling. I gotta give a shout out to that actress. Like I thought she did an amazing job. It almost had like a documentary type of feel, where someone's getting interviewed in an intense moment, serious question, and that delivery. What do we need to bomb? The city, right? Like, and I was just wow. And then it closes, cuts to pretty electric intro. I still like the intro a lot. It has a little bit of Game of Thrones vibes to it, where it's like this fungus that's spreading, but also showing you this wide landscape, the travels that Joel and Ellie are about to go on. I mean, any other takeaways you have from that intro sequence?
Yeah, again, like HBO is the best at doing this. If you think about other HBO shows where they in the beginning of the episode, it's a flashback. It's not like the directly what happened after the last episode. It's like you're trying to think like, oh, what did Joel, Tess, and Ellie do after that? No, it's like no, we're going back to 2003, and you learn more about how this happened, but you don't learn about everything, right? Not just about like you don't find out everything like as in what happened after that. They're going to do that to probably the first scene of the next episode, another flashback soon after Jakarta. But also, they don't tell you everything like how this infection got into somebody. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
in COVID, like someone ate a bat, like they don't go that detailed. It's like they keep it brief, keep it short. This episode was 52 minutes versus an hour, 20 minutes, the prior episode. Very efficient. But also, if you just think of these shows, these HBO shows where they've done that, like a Watchmen. Watchmen's a great example. They did a flashback in the first episode, and then every single flashback sequence in every single episode for the entire season, it's a progressive, and it ends up matching up to the end of the season, and it's fantastic. End of the season, like progressively, like the actual like what's happening in real time. But also, what happens is that the flashback episode, part of it of the episode matches the entire episode,
Yeah,
and
hits
it's
the
very
theme.
impressive. So, like the example in this one would be when you're talking about the fungi sprouts coming out of the infected person's mouth in the beginning. At the end, you have the fungi sprouts coming out to kiss Tess. It's just everything's
Also
a circle,
disgusting. Holy
which is
crap.
also
Yeah, you're right.
disgusting.
Yeah, you're right. It's from that moment on the table, like body being analyzed, right? The autopsy type of thing that's happening, and then Tessa's demise. Like it comes full circle, not just from the beginning of the season to what's going to be at the end, but also small scale, just on this episode. And this is another example. Like the show is doing a lot of the writing is pretty impressive. They're doing a lot of showing rather than telling, right? They're showing how these zombies, they are able to be connected with one another, right? They can be awoken. Just because they're acting dead or you put a bullet in their head doesn't mean they're done for good. Um, I do want to also talk about the clickers because, dude, I once again the first half of this episode going beyond the intro, I was like, okay, are we just going to get a lot of dialogue here? I'm going to just do a lot of character development between Joel and Ellie. But instead, we get a lot of like breakdown, not a breakdown, but we get a lot of dialogue between Ellie and Tess. And we get like, and right from that moment when we had that dialogue and we have like the heartwarming moments that kind of happen between the two after Tess being so hard edged in the first episode, I'm like, she's biting the dust right now. This is it. Like she's going to die just because she's totally changing her perspective a little bit now. She's not like the hard edged Joel where it's like, okay, we have to annihilate this person. We have to kill this person. This person is infected. She shows like a sense of optimism and hope towards the middle of this episode going in towards the end. I think it's going to help push Joel forward. But I kind of pushed through that. Clickers. That's the mushroom sprouting out of the head. I had no idea they were going to look like that. That was a shock when I saw that. I thought we were getting like humans that look like zombies. I'm not familiar with the game. When I saw that and it looked like the brains were on the outside of their head, I literally gasped. And then seeing it scream right in front of their faces, I thought they're almost unkillable. I was a little disappointed with Joel because like he's like, I've killed many of these things before. I'm like, how did it take you so many times to kill
That's
these
what I
then?
was thinking.
I'm like, you've killed so many of these, but you can't take out two. You can't take out
Yeah,
one,
that are
you know?
slow.
And like rule number one for zombie killing, aim for the head, bro. Like you got to at least put him in a submission for a
Thinking
little
the
bit.
same thing.
You got to put him in a submission.
He
And
did
I
not
know
show
you,
his experience.
but I also thought the second half of this episode absolutely ripped. Going from the
Yes.
two different quiet settings, a museum and a library, and you have zombies there. I thought that was perfect, right? Two classics, like,
Smart.
and two very smart. Like, I thought the setting was very effective, and the clickers just. I'm excited to see what they're going to be doing in the future and how they're going to like kind of escalate what we saw here because it blew my mind. What were your thoughts on these monsters?
So, like you said, we haven't played the video game, so we had no idea what they were going to look like. I think everyone keeps calling these people the clickers zombies, myself included, but they're not zombies; they're clickers. How do you differentiate yourself? Like your show, you look different, right? And you're like you have to like. I know it's zombies. Like there's so many different zombie movies, but like they all the zombies are kind of the same, if not maybe a little different. But you have to have some differentiating factor, and this has that. You have the click, you have the look. I think that's great. Now the only thing I'll say is, yes, I know it's off a video game, and they were true to the video game, which I love. It does look like Stranger Things, the Demigorgons a little bit. But you have the colorful factor of it, and then you have the
You're
sprouts
right.
coming out.
That's what it kind of reminded me of. Good call.
So I would say it still looks like that, but it still differentiates itself from it. So I think that's massive for a series that people keep calling them zombies. By the end of it, they'll be calling them clickers. They're gonna know what they are. And I think that's a kudos to the writing and also costume design here and just overall thinking of how to attack that, but also staying true to the game, right? Staying true to the game. And again, like I never played it, but if the game looks like that, that's interesting. I love that a design.
Yeah. I mean, this makes me want to play the game, but I also don't want to play it and know what happens narratively. Like, I don't want to know that much. But this game, it seems like this game would kind of rip. I see why that it's
I'm
been
thinking of Black
adapted.
Ops
Like,
Zombies.
and like, I saw a moment in this where they're in, I believe, the museum when they're getting might have been the library, don't really recall, one of the two settings, and Joel is having the flashlight like holding it against his head. He's trying to
Museum.
reload his gun as the zombies coming, and that's where a lot of video game players I saw were saying that's like actually like how you feel when you're trying to load the gun and here comes a zombie. You got to stay alive. Here comes the clicker. You don't have much time. You got to get this done, but you also got to be quiet. You got to be sly. It's like the moments too where you're like they're trapped around the corner and they have to hide. They can't be seen by the clicker, can't be heard. And like the way they pin around the corners, it looked like a video game the way they were doing it. I'm like, this is where I see adaptions. This is where I see where this was a video game. Like you could, and then it's just like finding materials and then like seeing the direct. I love watching the video game next to right the show and seeing how like online on Twitter and stuff, seeing those next to each other, I'm like, wow, they really cared about getting this right. And I think there's a lot of video game like movie developers trying to adapt video games that think like, this will never work in a movie type setting. I got to change it, and therefore it hurts like the audiences who have familiarity with the game. Here, it seems like they care so much about it, and the stuff that they're adding is more like these flashback sequences that add so much to the story, and they're some of the best scenes that we're getting. This show is firing on all cylinders in the first two episodes.
Another thing I'll say on the clickers is that I also thought of when Joel was like, "Oh, they can't see." I'm like, "Oh, what is this? A quiet place?" Like I thought of like, "Oh, like we're kind of combining a bunch of different things, but also making its own, obviously with the colorfulness of it." But also, I think what makes this like so daunting, right? To at least to me, not only what we've all talked about, but like, and also like they hear very well, but it's also the connectivity of the fungi around
Mhm.
like wherever they are, and then I feel like people, the clickers, they feel where you are, but then they'll also hear you once they're there. They'll know where you are just by the feel of you stepping on it, an active fungi, and then they'll find you and then hear you. But they can't see you. So it's still like that intrigue of it and that escapability that draws that suspense, like we were talking about with the flashlight sequence. So this overall, you're right. The show is firing all cylinders, not only from a character development standpoint, a lot from we saw in episode one, even this episode, but also the action sequences and also differentiating itself to make it unique as we go into more of the core adventure, core story where it's going to be Ellie and Joel going forward here.
Yeah, and I think you also got some aspects in this episode during those action sequences where Joel, he's still hard edged. He hasn't really changed much from the first episode. Maybe, like following the events of this episode, we're going to see more of the character development, more chemistry between Joel and Ellie, right? From this point forward, I would assume so after like this trauma that they've just both gone through. But like when the action sequences, they're facing the clicker. Joel is holding Ellie, he's protecting her. I think she's gaining some type of familiarity and comfortability now with Joel. They're going to have it, right? Like when danger is afoot at any point, talk about the idea of these clickers just feeling your presence. That makes like the danger, the danger in the show so apparent, and it raises stakes. No matter where you go, you might run into these things. But talking about character development really quick, uh, let's talk about Anna Torv's character, Tess. I thought this was a clear focus on her. Once they started to get into her feels a little bit, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this is, at some point it's just going to be two. When is it going to be? Right? We find out it's going to be episode 2 before Joel and Ellie make their trek. What do you think about her performance, Anna Torv here? We love her in Mindhunter. How is she doing in this new look type of role?
Yeah, definitely a completely different look here, but I think she's good. I can't complain. I think she nails it. I think her send off was good. It took a little long. The fire switch, the crap, lighter.
Lighter.
That's the that's a
Sorry.
do I smoke cigarettes? No, sorry,
Fire
but you
lighter.
clearly
Fire.
can't. Like that's a classic trope. I'm like, oh my god, just doing this for the suspense. But then it's because of the freaking fungi coming out of the mouth. That's why they kind of did that suspense. So I'm like happy they went with the classic trope, but they gave us something of a reason why they did that. But overall, going back to Tess, good send off. You're right, exactly. But I will say this wasn't the Tess episode. I think it was the Tess episode, but I think that there was other things that were so apparent in this episode that kind of covered that, so made it more subtle, such as the clickers that we talked about already. So, and I think that says something that we're talking about the clickers first and not Tess. So I think that's big, and it's not like, yes, she was great, great performance here in 2 episodes, but it's not so much where we're going to be in episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8 down the road, and we're like, where's Tess? I wish no. We saw just enough of her where we liked her, but she got the proper send off, and now we can move forward with the story.
I think I need some more ground rules laid out for how this disease spreads. Like, is it just where you're like attacked now? Like, what if like Joel is like right in front of her at the end of this episode? Should he be that close to her? Is there a way he can catch this
There's a time
disease?
limit.
Like, is it airborne at all? Like, I still don't know all of the rules yet. I know we love this story, how it's not just saying, there's not just a one voice narration saying what exactly entails with this disease, how it's caught, and what happens to your body, yada, yada. But I would like just a little bit of clarification because I'm like, you are face to face with someone who's giving her big heroic speech before she bites the dust. I get it. But like, should you be separating a little bit farther, maybe 6 feet, just from personal experience? Like, I think that's maybe what you do there. But I you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's kind of confusing where like the clickers kisses her at the end, but like won't they be such like, oh my god, there's a brand new person right there we can get. Wouldn't they just hop and bite him? Like why would like they be like a
Yeah. So
romantic type of kiss there?
that's why I thought she was just going to get mauled, but she didn't
Yeah,
get mauled. Maybe they
very
sensed
weird.
that she was already bitten And like this group,
Oh,
but
yes, you're right. That's
but
definitely it. I
but
take back what I said.
but these groups also, like all those people that were coming were connected. They all were like on the ground, right? Connected through this fungi or whatever, the forceps or what is it called? What is this thing called? Corceps? I
Starts with a C. I can't pronounce it.
whatever. We're not gonna look
I
it up
called the
because we're too
lighter a light
lazy.
switch for God's sakes. Don't
Yeah.
ask me about this thing.
Yeah, but I think they just want to like take her in as part of their community because it seems like they
Right.
are all these people are connected. Um, yeah, but I thought heartwarming speech at the end. I think also the sense of optimism that we didn't get for her first episode into the first 10 minutes of the next one. Just see her warm up to Ellie and then also push Pedro Pascal to keep moving on, shift in mentality. There is hope in this world. A little corniness to it, to be honest, but I still thought very worthy death there. I also want to talk about Ellie really quick. Did she grow on you this episode?
No.
I don't think so either, dude. Like I'm still not with her yet.
I think that's what it needed. She needed for us to grow on us, which is a death. To say this is very real. I think a gunshot to her mother isn't enough. I think she needed to see someone die for her, sacrifice for her, and then she might not take everything as a joke and
Soften her
not as
up.
corny. Yeah, exactly. So I think that might do it. And then we're gonna see a good, more one-on-one banter between Joel and then the polar opposite, Ellie. And I think that's gonna help more as well going forward. But Joel's obviously not gonna be the same Joel as we've seen. I think he'll soften up as we go along, which is gonna benefit liking to Ellie for us. So I think overall, like, did not grow on me yet, but I could see the potential there for us to like her coming sooner than later.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how their relationship grows and how they move on from this. And I think we were all expecting this to be real Joel. I guess a lot of us were expecting, not everyone. I thought I was expecting a little bit more development of the Joel Ellie relationship, but I like how they're kind of taking their time with it. It's not just going to be something what you expect off the bat, right? It's going to take some time to develop. It's going to take some trauma. It's going to take some experiences that they both go through. And, yeah, so predictions going into the next episode. I did not watch on the next episode of Last of Us. I heard it's great. I heard it was pretty explosive. Um, I'm anticipating we're still going to get like major action sequences into the next episode. I know with Tess being gone, I don't think those two are going to, meaning Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, they're going to hold the screen for an entire hour episode. I think it's actually an hour plus for the next one. But is this where Nick Offerman enters the show?
This is the episode.
Wow. Can't wait. Ponytail, right? Is he Nick Offerman ponytail here?
Yeah, ponytail, little bun. He's hardo. He doesn't let anyone come in. So it's gonna be interesting to see Joel, who's also kind of a hardo a little bit, but not like this. Like this is like it's gonna be cool because he also has that comedic side of him a little bit. And he saw that a little bit in the trailer, but not too much where it's like all the way in. I think I'm really gonna like Nick Offerman in this show.
Not like Ron Swanson in a post-apocalyptic world, right? That's not what we're
Definitely
going
not.
for here. Yeah, with Ron Swanson with a
But
ponytail, shaves
I
his
think
mustache.
the way they previewed it and teased it, it seems like it's a very good casting.
I cannot wait. I'm gonna have to check it out. I usually don't wait around. I sometimes watch the inside of the episode if I have time. A lot of times I watch this late at night, so I don't really get to it. Any other predictions before we wrap up here?
Whoever this Bill and Frank or the people that Tess were saying, they probably are dead or maybe they're bad people. Maybe they're bad people. And all right, now it's just total conspiracy theories. Maybe because
Theory.
like this is like 9 episodes long, so they can't be good people. So I'm thinking Nick Hoffman is gonna like be a good person, even though he's suspected to be like a hardo here and not let anybody on his property. So maybe he actually saves Joel and Ellie, say like, oh, they're actually bad people. Like they might keep slaves or something like they alluded to in the first episode. And then he leads them to their next stop on their adventure. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if he's friend or foe, just because we don't have familiarity with the game. And then I don't know, maybe we know actions speak loud for this show and the characters that are in it. So maybe we'll see if we can trust Nick Offerman next episode. Can't believe he's in the show. All right, that's gonna do it for our episode 2 reactions to The Last of Us.